Hi everybody, Dan Illman here with the DRFBets race of the day for Friday, October the 12th. It's race number 9 at Keeneland, and it's a graded stake. The Grade 3 Buffalo Trace Franklin County Stakes for filly and mare turf sprinters. You can bet the race, you can bet the nice Keeneland card on Friday with a DRFBets account and the 300% deposit match that goes along with it. Get all the information at bets.drf.com. Here's the field for the Grade 3 Franklin County. It is a big field, should be a nice betting race. They're running for $100,000, and you can access free formulator past performances for this race on the Race of the Day event page at drf.com. Download them, handicap along with me. I'll take the field in post position order, beginning with a 30-to-1 shot down on the rail, the number 1 Miss Gossip. Now, this mare is multiple stakes place sprinting on the turf, but was claimed for 62.5 out of a victory at Saratoga 2 starts back. They put her in a tough spot most recently. The Grade 2 Presque Isle Downs Masters, she was 42-to-1. She caught a hot filly and hot shot Anna, and I'm not really sure I want to hold that race against her. She's run some nice figs in the past, but she was dangled in for the tag 2 starts back, and she is facing some legitimate graded stakes company in this turf sprint. She's going to have to hustle from the inside post to get position. I prefer others on top, but she's going to be a big price. The number 2 is Conte Partiro, who I'm still trying to get over. Her impressive victory as a 3-year-old filly at Royal Ascot last year in the Sandringham Handicap, where she was 24th out of 24 in the straight, and she passed all those horses to win a very rich handicap race. She's come back, she's run some nice races in North America, but she hasn't been able to reach the winner's circle in 7 starts since the Sandringham, and I think Wesley Ward is still trying to figure out what kind of filly is Conte Partiro. Is she a miler? Does she want to go long? Does she want to run on synth where she has graded stakes places? Or is she a turf sprinter? Now, she's raced 5.5 on the grass once in her career. You have to go all the way back to the 2-year-old season, and she won that race, the Bolton Landing, to the tune of a $20 mutual. She, like several others, is coming out of a race at Kentucky Downs, the ladies sprint. She was saving ground early after getting bounced around at the start. She eased widest in the stretch. She finished with a little bit of interest to only be beaten 3/4 of a length in a blanket finish. Personally, I think the 5.5 is a little short for her. I don't think she's going to get that gigantic pace that she might need. Maybe she comes running for a piece, but I prefer her underneath. Strong contender in this race, and very logical, is the number 3 Belvoir Bay, who is 3 for 3 this year, going down the hill at Santa Anita, going 6.5 furlongs. Now, they put her in a very tough spot at Woodbine against the boys in the Grade 1 Highlander last time out, and I think all things considered, she ran quite fine and earned a real solid 94 Beyer speed figure while finishing ahead of 2 next out winners. One of them, Imprimis, coming back to win a stakes race at Monmouth with a 98 Beyer. She was just beaten by tougher male competition in that race. She has good tactical speed, a great rider in Flavienne Pratt, and a nice inside post position. Belvoir Bay, very, very logical. Not sure I want to take her at too short a price. Not sure she has truly such a tremendous edge over the field that I'm dying to bet her as the favorite, but I have to use her in any kind of multiple race exotic. The number 4 is Delectation. I wonder if last time out, A, Delectation found the mile just a little bit too demanding for her, and B, she might have been in just a little bit too tough. She was beaten by a nice filly in 55, but just consider that key race has also produced Kadura, and that runner-up in that race came back to win the Boston Spa with a 103 Beyer speed figure in gate-to-wire fashion. Delectation ran just fine over that yielding ground, an even third, but her big career-defining race in North America I thought was in the turf sprint at Churchill Downs against the boys in her seasonal debut, where she was rallying into some minor traffic and was only beaten a length and a half. Delectation is another one that needs a little bit of pace. She's coming off a bit of a layoff. We haven't seen her since July, but there's quality there, and I know she's stepping up from an optional claimer into a graded stakes race, but I think it's pretty much a lateral move, considering what those horses in the optional claimer have returned to do. The 5 is Country Chick, who pulled off a 123-to-1 upset in her most recent start at Kentucky Downs, going 6.5 furlongs. She won that race. It was with a career-best 81 Beyer speed figure. That 81 figure pales in comparison to the major contenders in this race. This filly must continue to improve. The number 6 is Morticia, who won the Franklin County in 2017 and has had a solid enough season this year, winning the Penn Ladies Dash with a 93 Beyer speed figure. She, like several others, comes out of the Smart and Fancy Stakes at Saratoga on August the 26th. She tracked 3 wide all the way through the turn and into the stretch, and she didn't change leads in the stretch while finishing an even third behind Chanteline and Girls Know Best. If you're a lead change fanatic like our colleague Matt Bernier, you wouldn't like that, but when she won the Buffalo Trace Franklin County last year, she didn't change leads in the stretch. So it's something that Morticia does on occasion. She has excellent tactical speed, an obvious affinity for the course, and she would not be a surprise at all. The number 7 is Girls Know Best, who finished ahead of Morticia in the Smart and Fancy. She set a very brisk pace. Sub 21 for the first quarter, 43 seconds for the half. She opened up to that clear lead, and she still had control of that thing inside the 8th pole before being overwhelmed by Chanteline late. You could argue that she's the speed of the speed. Timeform US agrees as well as we take a look at the pace projector. They've got Girls Know Best out there on the lead. And I think she's very dangerous if she gets that early lead. She ran well last time out, going 5.5. She has won at Keeneland in the past over yielding ground with a career best 103 Beyer. She's 6-1 on the morning line for Jose Ortiz, and they better mind her early and not let her get too far away. Excessive spending is turning back in distance, and I think she just found that last race at Ellis Park a little bit too far for her. The 5th place finisher came back to run a solid 3rd in the Ramsey Farm at Kentucky Downs with an 84 Beyer speed figure. We go back to her turf sprint 2 starts back, rock solid performance with a win, but only with an 82 Beyer. She is going to have to improve, and cutting back from a mile to 5.5, I do wonder if it saps a little bit of her sprint speed. The number 9 is Chanteline, and she's just gotten real good for trainer Steve Asmussen. She's good on dirt, she's good on turf, but it seems she's found herself now as a turf sprinter. Rock solid 2nd behind Ruby Notion in the Caress Stakes 2 starts back, and in the Smart and Fancy last time out, she got a great ride from Ricardo Santana, saving ground into the stretch right behind the pace setter Girls Know Best, easing out into the 2-path at the 3/16 pole, and then running down the pace setter late. She won it with a 104 Beyer. She's capable over firm, she's capable over soft, she's got that tactical ability where she can stay close to the pace, and she's a major player, and she's the kind of mare that rarely gets bet. She's rarely favored. Last time she was favored was all the way on the dirt way back in January. 5-1 on the morning line. There's a possibility she'll be that price. I think that is a fair price. The 10 is Aiken to Be, and Aiken to Be has been on the board in 14 of 16 lifetime starts, and I'm going to throw out her last 2 races. She ran well in both of those races, but I don't think a synthetic surface is sort of preferred surface. I think turf is, and 3 starts back when entered for a $50,000 tag. She dominated the field at Arlington to the tune of an 89 Beyer. Mac Robertson's having a really nice year, 23% winners in 2018. And here's a formulator fact for Aiken to Be. Past 5 years, older horses moving from synthetic to turf, first after a trainer switch back to Mac Robertson, 25% winners, a $2.56 ROI. There are worse 50-1 shots in the world than Aiken to Be, but she's going to have to run a career best race to take down these salty sprinters. I think the 11 Smiling Causeway is very dirtied up in this spot. She is a filly, in my opinion, that can't stand up on turf that is less than firm. Let's look at her last 2 races. One at Laurel over yielding ground, and let's take those fractions with a grain of salt. They went the half in 49-2, and you would think in a 6-furlong sprint race that's glacially slow, and that Smiling Causeway up on that pace would have no excuses. But our friends at Timeform US color-coded those fractions red. They had it as a very hot pace, and Smiling Causeway paid the price. She was beaten 12 3/4 lengths as the even money favorite. Prior to that, she was bet down to 7-2 against Boys. In the Grade 3 Turf Monster Stakes, she caught good ground, and she tired very badly. You take that race out of the equation, you go back to her race in the Grade 2 Royal North on firm turf, she ran a 94 Beyer speed figure, beaten a nose, and the race before that at Parks, I know the ground was listed as good, I thought it was more good to firm. She won it with a 100 Beyer speed figure. She's got good speed. I think that she can be out there pressing the 7 Girls Know Best early. She's won at Keeneland in the past over firm going at 5.5 furlongs. She's an interesting price play because I don't really think she liked that yielding ground in her last 2 races. Conversely, Ruby Notion, who is just red hot, and trainer Darren Miller's done a great job with this 5-year-old mare, I think she needs a little bit of give in the ground. Winner of the Kentucky Downs Ladies Sprint, over good going. Florent Giroux gave her a beautiful ride in that race. He wanted to be forward, and then when a long shot looped her to press the pace setter in the early portion of that race, Flo got patient, took her right back off the pace. Ruby Notion responded, and then when it was time to go in the straight, she showed her heart and and courage in between horses to win by a neck. Her prior start in the Caress, she beat Chantelane over very soft going with a nice effort, a 100 buyer effort. She's good. She's got some tactical speed. I think she's going to be mid-pack in here, but we'll see if she's as good over firm ground as she is over soft. The 13 is Brielle's Appeal, and I think she's a really interesting price play at 12-1. This is a filly that handled soft going at Keeneland during the spring meet, and I was just so impressed with the way she won that race. Not only was it fast, a 95 buyer speed figure for a 4-year-old filly making only her 4th lifetime start, but she has destroyed that field, and that race came back good. A couple of horses have come out of that race to win. Caress Stakes, soft ground, little bit of a layoff, hot pace. Didn't work out for Brielle's Appeal. Last time out of Kentucky Downs, she set the pace, she was pushed by that long shot, and she held on all the way down till inside the 16th pole, beating a neck. I think that 6.5 is a little far for Brielle's Appeal. She's going to appreciate the turn back in distance, and I think she'll be sent out of there by Sean Bridgman. The problem is there are a couple of other fast speeds to her inside, but I think she's got a ton of upside potential. Goldberry, the number 14, completes the body of this field. Can't really argue with what Goldberry's done in her last few races. She's won 3 out of her last 4. She won on dirt from off the pace last time out. Going back to that race at Ellis Park 2 starts back, she was prompting the pace on the outside, took over in the stretch, and then got to drifting against kind of a weakish field. She's got some speed. This is a tough post and a tough field. 50-1 on the morning line for Goldberry. Spread race for me in any kind of multiple race wagers, but my top pick is Chantelane. I believe that Steve Asmussen's gotten her in good form, and I think she can sit just off the pace, which should be solid to fast, and she should be in with a big chance turning into the lane. It doesn't seem to matter if it's soft or firm ground. I'm going 9, 13, 3, and 12 in the Grade 3 Buffalo Trace Franklin County Stakes. Your Friday DRFBets race of the day. Bet it with a new DRFBets account. You get a 300% deposit match when you sign up at bets.drf.com. Approximate post time for the Franklin County, 5:30 Eastern. Best of luck.